Good evening, everybody. Dr. Glow here with Black Girl Everything. I am so excited. It's my Monday night panel, and today's conversation is going to be just as good as every conversation we have. We have amazing participants who are joining us today, and our conversation really is about money. Like April, we're talking about tax time. We're talking about people really finding themselves, but this is also my $1 million year. So I'm really excited to talk to these young ladies and really about what's going to help support me and also help my identity shift, which is required for next level success. That's what we're talking about today. So first, I'm going to allow our participants to kind of introduce themselves, tell them where you're from, the name of your business, and what brings you here today. So we're going to start off with Ruby.
Good evening, everyone. I thank you for having me. I am Ruby D, the 1111 goddess, and I am an entrepreneur, multiple business owner. Still work
Mhm.
full time because there are benefits there, but I'm an author. And this evening, I'm excited to contribute to the conversation of becoming her before, the money, because it is important that we put ourselves in that position and become that person in order to sustain the success that we wish to have.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Adocia Moore. I am a newfound financial professional. My business name is Golden Hands Wealth Enterprise. I am a former plant-based chef, and I am a captive agent with a company right now, but soon to be a branched out financial professional on my own. I've been doing this for roughly 1 year, and I am excited for this panel this evening.
Perfect, perfect. So excited to have both of you on here on the call today. Especially it's beautiful outside. The weather was amazing. Ruby, I know you down there in Georgia, so your weather's been amazing for a while. Unlike up
Yes.
here up north, us northerners have been suffering out here with this cold weather, but it's getting warm outside, so I'm really excited because it brings around new clarity and opportunity to really release what you've been holding on to from the cold winter months and start anew. So this is a great conversation for people to jump into that. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it, okay? So my first question for you, Ruby, is what does becoming her mean to you in this season in your life?
Becoming her means becoming that mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically being or woman that I need to be in order to become successful not only in all of my businesses, but also in leadership so that I'm able to pass that information on, pass those experiences, and share them with those who look up to me by choice or those that I inspire because it's necessary, especially with the way the economy is now and the way things are moving. You can't just be financially in a position. You have to be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in a position to overcome quite a few obstacles that are there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, especially right now, and it definitely in this current economy, because we don't know what's going to happen as things have just been pivoting in directions that none of us really wanted to go at this point, especially as an entrepreneur. I'm also someone who has multiple leads of income from different sources, right? I've contracts. So, and most people will say I have a full-time job. No, I contract my intelligence to an organization that they allow me to do whatever I want to do, right? Because they trust me enough to do so. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm a full-time entrepreneur, just with about 4 different businesses. So yeah, so I definitely dig that for you. But Adosha, I want you to. So you said you transitioned just a year ago from something, right?
Hmm.
So you're definitely in a new season. So what
Yes.
does becoming her mean to you right now?
Ooh. So believe it or not, I was actually doing this behind the curtain before I actually came out about it. So it's like a butterfly, right? I was in my
Hmm.
cocoon for quite some time doing this behind the scenes because it's not a slow process to get a new license in this industry.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, becoming her is a whole, oh, like I said, it's like a butterfly. It's a whole transition from the inside out. Definitely going through a lot of inner healing
Hmm.
and breaking past the mental barriers, the emotional barriers, generational barriers. I wouldn't call them traumas, but generational barriers realizing that I am worthy, I am valuable, and I do bring value to people, and my knowledge goes deep, in many different aspects. And when it comes to the full knowledge that I have with food, just the science of it, and moving that into finance, realizing that they both are interlinked together and making it somewhat palatable for my audience and for my clients to understand that everything is connected together. And once we get one thing situated, everything else can work out within itself. So
Yeah.
becoming her is about being a leader, but also being comfortable and confident within myself.
Yeah, confidence is key, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I find with a lot of folks is they have all these great ideas, these like perspectives, but people don't like sharing that information for this fear of like rejection or being told no. And then I'm also an
Mm-hmm.
early childhood educator, right? I'm an educator at
Okay.
heart. So for me, I always realize with a lot of folks, I'm like, yo, who told you to be quiet when you were little? Right? Who
Mm-hmm.
didn't allow
Right.
you to have a voice? And now how children are raised, they're raised with having a voice, which can backfire. I have a 6-year-old, it backfires on me every day.
Yes.
But before that, children aren't taught to articulate as
Mm-hmm.
much, but realizing that there's so much in that, and they can be such a much stronger leader if they don't have to fight through the narrative of, oh, I'm supposed to be seen but not heard, all
Mm-hmm.
that type of
Yeah.
language that we grew up with. So it's really interesting now how leaders that are coming in the next 20 years, how they're going to be loudmouths, right? They're not going to
Yes.
have those issues, right?
Yes.
So we're going to hear everything they got to say.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. So, Ruby, talk to me a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more about your organization and some of the work that you do.
Okay, so with the Goddess Grind, it is definitely an extension of my book series, which is basically a series that focuses on becoming mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically balanced in order to become the best version of you, in order to be able to distribute that throughout the different
Mhm,
areas of your life, not only being a
mhm,
parent, not only being a business owner, but also as an employee, if you're, choosing to still maintain a job, to be
mhm,
the best wife that you can be to your husband, the best friend, etc. And so with the Goddess Grind universe, that's just the way that I'm able to reach out and spread my knowledge to others as far as public speaking, private events or intimate events, education, teaching about the chakras, how to balance them, how they can apply to you personally versus, the basic information that's out there online that everybody can research. But I give a more direct, um, understanding of how that affects your life, not only personally but professionally, intimately, and overall as a parent, just overall as a whole. And how just really focusing on just balancing yourself is a form of self-care, it is a form of healing, it is self-love, and it just overall makes you a better person to help you better cope with life, because we all know that life be life, and
mhm.
and sometimes we just have to have a better way of navigating through that.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. So, Georgia, you keep mentioning the word butterfly, right? I keep hearing that as
Yes.
part of your vocabulary. So
Yeah.
it seems like you align a lot with transformation, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
as you have made this transformation in your career, right, from shifting from one narrative to the other, and you realizing that as a CEO of your own life, everything is interconnected, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you built up to that. So talk a little bit how you decided that this was going to be your new journey.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, so I felt that one. Before I transitioned, I was really focusing on, because of course I can cook and food tastes good, but what was the true science behind why I'm choosing to make vegetables be the main source? When it came down to the science is the creation, right? Everyone loves to eat food. They love for it to taste good. I can do that. Great. But also, what am I doing with that? I'm helping them eat better. They're feeling better. They're healing
Mhm.
themselves.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to healing, it's not just about eating, it's how you think, it's
Mhm.
what's going on in your life. And when it came to finances, I've learned that there's a key thing when it comes to protection planning, because that's what I told you I specialize in. That's generational wealth. And when it came to Black people, African Americans, and our generational wealth, it was not the best. And our
Yeah.
food choices were not the best.
Hmm.
Our money choices were not the best. So, not everyone, but for the majority. So, moving into finance, I realized this is something where if I'm teaching myself as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, why not make this a part of my overall enterprise, my empire, to teach others as well?
Yeah.
I feel like I've reached my pinnacle of, enticing the idea of eating healthy and decided to go to school to get my nutrition degree. Let that be a thing. Now, pushing to finance, how am I helping my clients that I already have? How am I helping other people understand your money can be generational? You have children, you need that to let that be a thing for them as well. When it comes to, bad health, long-term care is something that not many African Americans even pay attention to. So they leave it to their children to take care of them. When they're passing away, they're leaving that to their children to take care of. I hear a lot of people say to me, well, my parents didn't do it for me, so why do I have to leave something for my children? And it's like, whoa, no, 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 no. We can start here. It's not going to cost you millions of dollars, one step at a time. And it's the same thing when it comes to eating healthy, one meal at a time, one recipe at a time, eliminating a seasoning, eliminating, a fat, right? So everything takes small steps. And when you put everything together, the entire recipe, you can create something beautiful. Creating different plans for yourself can now be something amazing for your children or your grandchildren in the future. And making finance become the new, I wouldn't say identity, but the new mission for me. It's not completely different because if our finances are in order, our health is in order. When we have everything
Exactly.
structured the right way, we're okay. So
Yeah.
that I was really focused on, and it's working for me, and I love
No,
it.
I hear you on that. I hear you on that. My mom suffered a major stroke.
Oh, I'm sorry
Oh,
about
I was
that.
married. I was already married as a year after my wedding. Been married 10 years, about 9 years ago. And
Okay.
I'm the oldest of 13 siblings.
Woo.
Yeah, it's a lot of us. A lot of us. And I hear you when it comes down to what does that planning look like, because I was raised by parents who weren't the ones who had things together or were put in a position to do that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now for my kids is like, I have enough insurance to make sure my house is covered. Something happens to me tomorrow, my family's taken care of, my house is paid off, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these different things I put in place so they wouldn't have to deal with that. And I eat well, right? I
Mm-hmm.
choose to eat well, consistently to eat
Yes.
and put good things into my body because I want to be able to move around at 99 with ease, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So to be around here, to be around to see my great grandchildren and all that stuff. So I hear you
Mm-hmm.
with that relationship between money and food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is because when you're financially struggling, there's certain things you can't put in your body
Mm-hmm.
because the food, unfortunately, is too expensive. That's why I grow a lot of it in my backyard. you know
Exactly.
so the correlation is clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially families that I serve. People think it's funny, like I tell them all the time, I don't do any processed foods at my childcare center.
Yeah,
Everything's
good.
everything is fresh, and the behaviors are different. Children are
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
thriving in that
Mm-hmm.
environment is because they eat good food, and
Mm-hmm.
they get great hugs from our staff. Everybody
Oh, I
loves,
love that.
right?
I love
It's the
that.
food. It's like what they're
Mm-hmm.
putting in their
Yeah.
bodies. And their parents are like, yo, they eat kiwi? Yeah, they love it. Do you have, there's like, I don't even eat kiwi. I know. Why don't you
Yeah.
try it? you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, so I totally, totally agree with you about that. So Ruby, now you're talking about really building out individuals, right, in your book series. And so we're talking about that financial stability. So talk a little bit about, for me, when you really are started to see financial growth, and if the growth is still growing for you, talk to me about what that narrative looks like.
Well, for me, um, when I started really seeing the financial growth, it was at the point where I just got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to post, I'm just going to share, I'm just going to talk about what it is that I know, because whether anybody's liking it, whether anybody's commenting, somebody's seeing it and it's helping somebody. So when it got to the point where I just became more confident in myself and just put it out there, pretty much I was going live, I was doing events, I was basically just doing everything that I enjoyed doing as far as connecting with other people and sharing my story and sharing my knowledge. And at that point, it was just like it was just a natural influx. Once you contribute to the flow, then it just continues to flow. And we also not only financially but intellectually, when you can contribute to the intelligence of the overall population, then you grow philosophically, you become more knowledgeable, and you begin to see, well, as a result of this, and this is what I've been doing. Like at one point when I was doing consultations and teaching individuals, about the chakras and connecting the dots for them, then I started to see a correlation between what we were dealing with and how it was associated with the root chakra. It was like the root chakra is associated with survival, with fear,
Mhm.
with finances, and all of that. And when you see that that's one of the main storylines that you continuously see over and over and over again, then that made me think, okay, how can I focus on this more to educate more in this particular area, to be more of a resource for people to understand, hey, this is something that we need to change, because well over 95% of the population is underactive in the root chakra, and it stems from fear. It stems from us being more in a hustle mentality versus and living from survival versus thriving in what we already have and building on what we already have access to. And it just completely throws you in a different way of dealing with life, or way of trying to move beyond that. And just being able to contribute to that flow of knowledge, I can see from 2017 up until now how there are many more people talking about the chakras. Many more people are becoming more focused on healing. They're more focused on changing the mindset. They're more focused on just becoming that better overall person. And they're seeing how they can manifest a better life, how they can contribute to the flow and have a continuous flow of finances in some kind of way. It may not necessarily be money coming in, but you have people that gift you, people that just want to support you, and people that just want to share what it is that you have. And that ultimately just contributes to the flow of abundance and the flow of increase in financial stability. And it's just amazing to see how far we have come from 2017 when I first started up until now.
Yeah, no, I can dig that. I can dig that. So when I say this is my $1 million year, people's like, oh, you're gonna make $1 million? I was like, yeah, but that's not, it's more than that, right? I'm talking about my $1 million
Hmm.
year because I want $1 million energy in all aspects of my life, right?
Exactly.
Within my
Yeah.
relationship, within my health, with my children, with my friends, with myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like, I want these $1 million dates. I go on a date with myself at least once a month. That's at least, right? So it's
Hmm.
like that's what I mean by my $1 million year is just this life that's so well rounded in abundance,
Mm.
right? Of joy and love and passion and all those great things. And so many individuals, when you have balance and harmony with all those aspects of your life, that's when you're really winning, right? I could still sit around and do all that and have $100 in the bank, but be happy as hell,
And happy.
right?
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Just
be
as
happy.
content,
Yeah,
rubbing
because
your
have
feet
all
together and
the
everything, just happy.
yeah, and that's the way it's really
Mhm.
supposed to be. But
Mhm.
that's really we're talking about, like getting rid of like limiting beliefs. So Dosha, talk to me.
Hmm.
So I know you're gonna be out here working with these folks, and you gotta tell them that they can afford this 12.99 for this 30,000, and they act like they can't do it, right? So talk to me about how you're working with people around limiting beliefs.
So you dropped numbers. Ooh. What I do, I really get to the root of their issue. And that's
Hmm.
just in any conversation, not just about finance mostly, but find out their issue. What's their need, right? Where you stand right now? Where do you want to be? And I realized just having conversations with people right before we got on, Ruby and I were just having conversation, and I was just finding out who she is. You know, everyone has dreams, everyone has aspirations, and I'm not saying that I can save everyone, but really knowing who I am in this position that I'm in and how I can be a resource to them by any means necessary. You know, if it's not today, it'll be at some point in time. As long as you heard me and you had the ears to listen and you took in the knowledge. Because I love to gain knowledge and I love giving it in small dosages because sometimes people can't take in too much, especially when it's accountability attached to it. So I've realized, you know, giving people grace as well as having grace with myself and understanding that everyone has to start somewhere because where I'm at right now, this is not where I was at a year ago or 3 years ago. And the knowledge that I have now, I wish I had this in my early 20s. I wish I had this in my early 20s, but I'm here now. And the fact that I'm here now is a reason. And I'm thankful actually, because if I did, I wouldn't have touched as many people as I've had before in tummies before reaching this part. So my walk and my journey has been helpful, and I'm helpful, and I'm happy, and I'm resourceful, and I'm valuable. And the people that I do connect with, at some point in time, they see it. And if they don't see it at that moment, they give me a call like, hey, can we have a conversation? Because I remember you said this. And it's like, sure, no problem. Right? It's just giving the grace in small bits. That's all it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I definitely can dig that. I definitely can dig that. So, discipline comes in with that, right? Like you talk
Mm-hmm.
about accountability.
Mm-hmm.
People don't like the discipline. I'm
Yeah.
one of them. I'm people. I am. I am people. Like so, that's why I post and I tell people what I'm doing on the internet all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this smoothie fast for 3 days because now I committed myself to the world to get it done.
Okay.
It's
I'm
just like,
opposite.
yeah, no, 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 no. Y'all gonna know. See, y'all can ask me, and it's so funny because Ruby, you mentioned that people you get on the internet just talk, talk, talk. So you know how many people tell me they listen to my lives every day, but I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, what
Mm-hmm.
did you do for your smoothie thing? I said, you was watching that?
Mm.
Like so many people were like, I was watching it. Can you send me the recipes? I'm like, yo, ask me that in my comments so it could get out the algorithm. Please help me out
Yeah.
here.
No.
Right.
Share it. And they just be all in. They play Black Girl Everything, Dr. Glow. I'm like, hi, who are you? I watch your lives all the time. Really?
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
they're not gonna.
all the likes and comments. I appreciate you. All right. It just be so funny. It'd be so funny. But yeah, but discipline plays a
Mm-hmm.
really big role in that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But so you've been talking a lot about the root chakra. So I want you to educate folks for a quick minute on what is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so chakras are energy centers that we all have. We know when we meet somebody and we be like, I'm not quite feeling them. That's the energy that I'm talking about. That sixth sense that we have about people. And the root chakra specifically is located like in the lower pelvic region. But the root chakra is associated with is our survival chakra. So it's associated with everything that has to do with survival, the way that we grew up, the things that we learn, our foundation, our beginnings, and all the ideologies and everything that we learned as children. And that's basically the foundation that we grow up on. And for a lot of us, because we didn't come from two parent homes, because we didn't come from a wealthy family, because we didn't come from a stable family where we saw examples of non toxic
Mm,
friendships, relationships, family ships. And because there's so much that we've been indoctrinated with, as children, we grow up with that. And with the root chakra, that's when we have these survival modes and survival mindsets where we feel like we just have to go out there and get it, where like you have to work until you drop, where you have to either get a good job, go to school, you know, your parents, you know, you got to go do something. When you turn 18, you got to get out of here because it's just we are not taught those the foundation that we need in order to thrive as adults once we graduate from high school and we're out there on our own. So because we don't have that proper training, I guess I should
Mm-hmm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, our parents like to tell us, well, I didn't know better. Well, at some point you should have learned or understand you did the best that you could with what you had, but you should have taken some accountability at some point. And that's why once we become adults, we have these imbalances in our chakras. So with the root chakra, like for example, for a lot of people or a lot of people that I've had consultations with, it has a lot to do with, well, one thing with us being women, us being birthed to teenage mothers.
Mm-hmm.
And because we take on that energy, like I was the product of a teenage mother. And of course, I already know how my mom is now, so I know how she was then. And it was just like she was just as clueless. She was scared. She didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness she had my grandmother and, you know, my aunts and mother and all of that to help her. But she didn't instill in me financial education. I
Mm-hmm.
She told me, girl, you got to figure it out because I ain't got no money to send you to college. So I was like, well, okay, I guess I need to get a scholarship because I don't have the money either, which is what I ended up doing. But because we grow up and that's what our foundation is, we just learn to thrive in that versus trying to seek something outside of what we've been taught. And then when we get older and we see that we just can't get past where we are with what we have, it's just like, well, I just find one way to get through it because I've gone through it before versus trying to find a better way or a different route altogether.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to talk about the chakras and teach about the chakras and what we can do in order to balance that just to give us a different outlook on life so we can approach things differently so we can move beyond where we are currently because I've seen and I've heard a lot and it can be
Mm-hmm.
very difficult once you are stuck in like small town mentality. I'm from Mississippi, one of the on the coast of Mississippi. I graduated from Moss Point High School in '99, so I know what it's like. And the things that I do now, I couldn't have done back at home.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
So
and I
you
get
got to
that.
get out of it.
Yeah, and that's all just really about the line of this that transformation piece. I am an overachiever, right? I'm an overachiever, but I grew up in shelters as a large part of my life, right? My parents had addiction issues at some point in time in my life. Like there was things that happened. I'm a product of divorce and all that other stuff, right? And I'm really transparent with that with people, especially when the young people that I work with, because now I'm just like I am an overachiever, but now I just achieve greatness through service, right? My overachieving now is really more so focused on how many children I'm going to support or how many children I'm going to help and how many families am I going to help redirect so to get out of that survival mode more into the thriving positions in their lives, right? So it can be useful, but you have to understand who you are, right? And yet
Mhm.
understand where you are not balanced and where you do need that time to sit down and be with yourself and refocus on being grounded and being aligned, right? Because all those things matter. You have to sit here and make sure you have your crystal on you every single day to make sure your day is cleansed. So yeah,
Mhm.
so I do hear you around that. And a lot of folks don't realize that there's a lot of very basic practices that you can add to your day that can
Yeah.
help with your alignment to help you refocus. And it's definitely important to add those different things. So, Adosha, as you now you're in a different playing field, right? So your alignment had to be different with what you're doing
Yeah.
because you're out there talking to people about money. And I know when you're talking to black and brown people about money, they ain't trying to hear you all the time. So, but for you, what are some of the daily habits that you have now brought in your transformation to keep you balanced?
Okay. Oh, thank you. I like that. Well, let's clear the air because they didn't want to hear me when I was talking about food either. Okay. They did not want to hear me. However, I know the trick of the trade. Okay. People are visual, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm talking to them about food and they see how I look in person, like, oh, you look really good for your age, and then they hear how old I am, which I am 35, by the way, then they're like, what's your secret? Right? Now, when it comes to talking about money, I don't necessarily speak, numbers, dollars to them. I just speak the benefits, right?
Yeah,
What do you have in your mind or in your vision? What's the life you would like to live?
yeah,
What do you want your children to live? Or what's the life you want them to live? And most of the times, the comparison I hear is like the Cosbys. I love it though. Like the Cosbys, or I don't want to have any issues when I retire, right?
yeah.
And I explain to people like it's not difficult, right? Especially younger people in our 30s. If you have it here, if you're able to walk, if you're able to work, you can contribute to your retirement. You can contribute to living the life you want to live. You can contribute to your children and your grandchildren living the life that they are supposed to live, right? A huge thing right now, and there's this show on Netflix, Beauty in Black or something like that.
Girl.
Everyone loves that show. You cannot get the girls away from it. However, what is the key thing that they're talking about in that show? A trust.
Mhm. Over and over and over
And
again.
over, and it's going over everyone's head. So,
Mhm.
because I know everyone's attracted to this show, that's my key point to bring to them. You watch that show, Beauty and Black? Yeah, I love that show. Oh my God, with the girl. They're talking about a trust. Yeah, yeah. What? Yeah, with the girl. Yeah, you can have that. What? How? Let me show you. Let me tell you. Let me
Mhm.
teach you. Hear me out. Right. So when it comes to people's attraction, of course, visual creatures, right? It's not just men, it's just everyone as whole. When it comes to people's attention, I have to figure out what is it that has your attention right now? Because I know certain topics is boring or it's not of interest or it's not sweet enough for them. So I have to serve them on a nice platter, something that I know that is palatable that they would take in, and give it to them in small dosages, but also feed them something that's healthy for them. And so now in the end, they're like, oh, okay, I walked away with something, not realizing that I just taught you an entire playbook, a blueprint on how you can have your family out of generational trauma, finances. And now you are going to be able to walk the path of knowing that you've just led your family into freedom. That's all it is. So, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of craftiness, a lot of humbleness within myself, um, and approaching everyone different ways, but still having the same message. I do get the rejection,
Mhm.
and like Ruby was mentioning about the root chakra, rejection, fear of rejection was, and somewhat sometimes is a huge thing that I deal with because it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this today. I don't want to hear this right now because I know I'm so passionate about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So when it comes to someone saying, I don't want to hear about it, I just deliver it in a way that's a little bit more easier for them to understand. And I take pride in what I'm talking about. So once they
Perfect.
see you're comfortable, you're good.
That is great. That is great. So now you just slid right into. I'm telling you, you guys are really good at this whole conversation thing because my little list of questions, y'all keep on sliding right into it.
Oh,
It's like so
really?
easy for me. Because the next thing we're going to talk about is like waiting for validation, right,
Mm,
to move forward. So we might have these bright ideas and want to do these things, but sometimes we be sitting there waiting for somebody, go ahead and do that, girl, right?
mm.
But unless you're like me and I'm just like, I'm gonna do whatever I want, right? But sometimes we wait for that because we want to know that it works, right? In some way
Mhm.
that somebody believes in what I'm talking about. So Ruby, I want to ask you this question, right? What can some of the things that people can do when they're so reliant on validation from the outside world?
Some things for people to do. Well, one, I'm always an advocate for self. And one of my biggest things is right now, if there was anybody that you needed to reach out to or somebody that you needed to like call for something like really important, who would that be? And 9 times out of 10, they don't have anyone that they can name other than maybe a mom or a dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's just like really when it comes down to you and really looking out for yourself, the only person that's required to be in your corner is you.
Yeah.
So, because you are the only person that's required to be there, why do you need validation from anybody else? Nobody can give you permission to be confident. Nobody can give you permission to say, hey, you're capable of doing this or you're not capable of doing this. Just go out there and do it. The worst thing that's going to happen is you can't even say you failed at it. It was just not for you. You learned, it was an experience. Now move on to something else. So either you're going to learn or you're going to succeed. I mean, those are pretty much the only two choices that you have, unless you just, do something where you invest way more money than you really had to really start with. Then that's a whole different story. But you still learn from the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And, another thing I say is that person that you may be seeking validation from may never give it to you. It could be your mate, it could be your parent, it can be anybody. But you waiting on somebody else to give you validation, you're just gonna procrastinate and just imagine where you can be 6 months from now or a year from now had you just taken it upon yourself to just move forward. Nobody is going to be in your corner like you are going to be in your corner. Nobody's going to look out for you like you are going to look out for you. So you don't need validation from nobody else.
Yeah, yeah, I totally dig it. Like, my house is full with I have some adults in my household. And one of them, I talk about my daughter all the time. She needs to watch my lives. My baby 6-year-old, she watches all my lives and likes and comments. By the way, she's like, I liked
Aw.
and commented on all your stuff, mommy. It was good this morning. Thank you, sweetheart. But my older one, who's also a teenage mom, and one of the things that I'm constantly talking to her about is that I need you to do for you, right? I need you to do for
Hmm.
you, right? Right now, you have a beautiful 2-year-old, and it's time for you to get in a position where you start focusing on what you want, right? And that validation piece. And it's really hard, especially in the era of that they rely on social media, they rely on people, they rely on the likes, they rely on those different things to feel good about themselves. So trying to redirect that energy is complicated as a parent, of this particular generation. And I always find it's like, how can we get people to move past that, right? And I'm always asking those questions because I really want to understand, even for me, from my own perspective, is what do I need to say? Because I know for me to get her to move to do anything, I have to put extra
Hmm.
love on her to do something. She knows I love her. She knows I
Yeah.
care. But if I really need her to do something, it's like, you're so great. And I'm just like, why did I give you all this validation to, like, wash the dishes? So it's like it's just those simple things. So I just really find that interesting around validation, right? Because and then you find it with individuals who are in these relationships, because the way your
Hmm.
relationship with a human being, the same relationship you're going to have with your wallet, the same relationship you're going to have with food. A toxic relationship, if
Yes.
you're toxic in any relationship, you're going to be toxic in every relationship. So it's just like, how you're showing up one way is how you're going to show up every single way. So it's like, for me, when I talk to people or I'm coaching individuals, it's just like, no, oh, but I don't do that with that. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
There's no other
Yes.
way you're ever going to be. So it's just really, really interesting that you said that. And for me, is like, especially from your experience now as an adult, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm that grandmother who's there, right? Um, which is great. I'm happy to be that individual. I'm happy that I'm in a position to be that individual.
Congratulations.
Um, but yeah,
Right.
but it's just really, really interesting. But Josh, I got a question for you though,
Yeah.
because you transitioned, all right? And I know when you get into the finance game, any type of game, we ain't got results right away.
Say wait.
When you get into
Say
any
that one
type of
more
game,
time.
there ain't no results, right? You'd be sitting there, you'd be like, why did I do this? So talk to me how you kept pushing through before you really started getting some results.
Oh wow. Prayer. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie to you. It's prayer. Prayer and constantly being a learner.
Yeah.
When it comes to a lot of people that are in my group, they like to make fun of me because they're like, "Oh, you're no fun anymore because you're just attached to your laptop." And I'm like, "Yeah, I fall asleep in front of my laptop. I'm always reading. I'm always learning. I have to
Mhm.
learn, especially how things change now. Like everything is changing, and it's so crazy. I mean, it's always been this way, but
Yeah.
results aren't fast. Um, they like to, the name of the game is slow gratification, right? This is we're in the field of slow gratification, and everything takes time, but I like to relate everything to food, of course, still.
Hmm.
So I consider it as a seed, right? You plant your seed and you have to take your time, you have to water it. I have to plant my seed, I have to read, I have to learn, I have to educate myself because things are constantly changing, the seasons, the market changes. And in the end, I'm going to have my fruits from my labor.
Hmm.
And when it comes to my clients, I have to make sure everything that I'm teaching them is of substance, is accurate, and I'm not leading anyone astray. Because as they're growing, I'm growing too. And we don't need any stagnant movements. We need everything to flow as it should be. But also, having to help them understand that not everything is happening now. You're going to get it now. It takes time.
Yeah.
You know, the perks of it is I get to, give people a little subtle uh hypothetical visual of where they are now and where they can be. And so
Hmm.
helping to aid into that, it's now okay. All right, I feel comfortable doing this because I see where I can go as long as I continue to do this thing. So this is where consistency and the discipline comes in,
Yeah.
right? Helping them stay on it, make sure you're staying what you're supposed to do, saying what you're supposed to do, and sticking to it. Doing my monthly check-ins with them, and with myself too, because there are days where I want to quit. I want to get out of the game, right? But it's not because of what I'm doing. It's just me within myself. Like, am I worthy of having all this responsibility, right? But I am. So it just takes a little bit of time, especially when you're stepping into a new world. It's like, whoa, everything is so new, but it's worth it, and I'm happy. I love it. It's exciting. Every day I wake up, I'm like, all right, let's go. So, and they like to say, not every day you're going to see the next person a year from now. I want to stick in this game for a very long time because it's worth
Yeah.
it. Mm-hmm.
I can dig it. I can dig it. I can dig it. So Ruby, I want you to kind of just talk about really from you about balance, right? Because that's just your specialty in the room. So talk to me or talk to everybody about how people can balance their personal growth, right? At the same time as they're focused on these results that don't come right away.
The best way to balance your personal growth is to focus on it first.
Yeah.
And that's almost like how people say, put your best foot forward, put your best self forward. And as you're putting your best self forward, then that's how you know you're putting everything that you can into whatever it is that you're doing.
Hmm.
And like for a long time, it was team no sleep, team no, that was not me. I was team sleep. And I stress to people how important it is to rest. Rest is like the single most nothingness that you can do that's going to contribute the most to your well-being
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and keep you the health one of the keep you the healthiest and get your rest. You have no idea what how much can happen when your body is in slumber mentally, emotionally, like on a cellular level. It's like a complete from one to another. Like you can be angry, go to bed, and wake up in a completely different mood because your body has had the opportunity to heal itself, your mind has had the opportunity to slow down, your emotions have had the opportunity to get regulated, you've gotten it what it is that you need. But with finding that balance, it's going to keep you level headed on those days when those orders are not coming in as fast as you think they should, or that money is not coming in like you think it should, or it keeps you in a state of homeostasis to where you're like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be focused on selling today. Maybe I should focus on just personal growth or
Yeah.
learning more as an entrepreneur. Or what is it that I need to look over when it comes to my marketing, when it comes to the systems that I have in place? If you got to work, I mean, if you have to worry about all of that, then worry about managing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of orders and you can't do it, you are not the person that you need to be to sustain the level of success that it is that you're wanting. So
Yeah.
you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, that you're taking care of your personal growth in order to sustain what it is that you're asking for. And
Hmm.
if you're not able to do that, you're definitely going to lose it.
Yeah, no, I dig that. I dig that. I dig that for people all the time. And I say to people, first of all, it takes 5 years for you to even think you're getting anywhere with your business, right? The first 5 years, you out here, you spinning in circles, you figuring it out. This worked, that did not work. This works, that really did not work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is where you're going,
Yeah.
up and down, up and
Yes.
down, up and down. But you got to stay the course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And continue to take care of yourself along the way, right? Taking plenty of breaks. Like I'm a big advocate of I think people need to go on vacation every 90 days, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if it's a staycation at your house and your couch, right? Where you're cut off from a lot of different things, right? Figure it out. But you need to take those breaks away so you can reset. One of my highlights of my life right now, it is 8:47, right? PM on this Monday night. I guarantee y'all, I'm gonna be in my bed by 9:27. Like,
All
I
right.
am. I'm going to be in my bed and I'm probably going to be asleep by 10:07.
Oh
Right. And
wow.
I'm going to
Hmm.
sleep until like at least maybe 5:07, maybe even 6:07. Right. Because I believe in like, 8 hours, man, and stuff I'm able to do after
Wonderful.
8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I get
Mm-hmm.
stuff done.
Yeah.
I'm not a young
That's
chickadee
what I
no
be
more with
telling
3 hours
people.
worked after the club and then went to work. I can't do that. No,
Yeah. It's not like it was before.
no,
I
it's
don't have
not.
that.
It's not.
Yeah.
And
No.
I agree. Rest, rest. Woof. Let me take a nap.
I had to do one earlier. I needed
Listen,
it. I was like, oh, I gotta take a nap. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nothing
Team
like it.
sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, sleep is like so important because sleep actually gets you into your next level of success, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, just talk to people about what does your next level of success look like for you?
Ooh, my next level of success. Ooh, what does that look like? For sure, hands down, first things first, is taking as many flights within a year that my son loves to go on. Because when I was a chef before, we would travel a lot to different states when I'll have events. And he was younger, so he enjoyed it. Now that he's older, that's my perfect buddy. He can carry all the suitcases and I don't have to worry about anything. But definitely being in that space where I don't have to be in one space for a long time, in one state for a
Hmm.
long time. Before I
Hmm.
can be in one state and travel everywhere. Right now I have to be, homebound for a little bit. Um, but also having more than enough where I can live comfortably in regards to the residuals, but also having people trust me enough
Hmm.
to be my clients where I can go to uh, Texas and I have 4 or 5 clients out there and I'm just hanging out talking with them, right? And I'm educating their friends, their family, and now I'm getting new clients, right? That's success for me. Being so grounded in my business where now my clients are bringing new people to me and I'm educating them and I'm growing at a faster rate that way. That's success to me. And also retiring at 43. I'm
All right,
35
let's
now.
go.
Retiring at 43. Retiring at 43 and building that building. One of my dreams is to own a building in New York City and have homeless people live in the building, but also maintain the building. So they're working and living there. That's one of my that's next level success for me. That's a
Understood,
huge thing.
understood.
Yeah.
And that second half of life and the life of service ain't nothing like it. I'm
Yes,
telling you.
yes. That's
That's
all
definitely.
it is. I'm a humble servant, and that's all it is.
I
Mm-hmm.
can dig it. I can dig it. Ruby, I'm gonna ask you the same question. What does next level success look like for you?
For me, it looks like being on a cruise ship, just
Mm.
talking to everybody that I want to talk to, just teaching everybody about the chakras, being on a cruise, having retreats on a cruise. If you can't tell, I love cruising. Me and my mom leave for one Thursday,
Oh, yes.
but
So do I'm with
I
you.
I I love to travel, take cruises, yeah. But next level for me is being able to actually share the Goddess Grind universe with other like-minded individuals and
Hmm.
then just have them to just carry that forward for me.
Hmm.
I don't even have to reap the benefits from it. I just want the knowledge to be out there. I just want it to be shared because when it comes to like mental health and emotional health, energetic health and wellness, if you have nothing else at the end of the day, you would want to have that to make it to the next day and so on and so forth. So next level of success for me is to have that baby that I've birthed. That would be my legacy for that to move on and move forward.
I can dig that. I can dig that. So, I want to thank you both for coming on for this conversation today.
Thank
It was
you.
full of transformation and growth and a full lesson on root chakra for people who had no clue what we were talking about. And then also understanding that it's okay to talk about money, right? And it's
Yeah.
okay to talk about our dreams and realize we can make transitions and pivots and figure it out. And to let you all know that everybody who's out there, a parent to a adult, you're going to be okay. I
Hmm.
promise you, because
Yes.
they're interesting humans. But before we get off of this, I would love for you guys to share how people can follow you. Ruby definitely mentioned how people can purchase your books. So we'll start off with you.
Yes, you can find me online at thegoddessgrind.com. That's my website. The Goddess Grind on TikTok, The Goddess Grind on Instagram, on Facebook, Ruby D. Goddess, that's my personal page, but my business page is the 1111 Goddess, same on Instagram and TikTok as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Perfect, perfect,
Okay.
perfect. Adosha.
And for myself, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Adocia Moore, Adocia. And on
Hmm.
Instagram, I am signed underscore WWGH, which means woman with golden hands.
Perfect. So your name is pronounced Adosia.
Adocia. Yes.
Adosia. All
Yes.
right, perfect. So you let me call you the wrong name for like 45
It's
minutes.
okay. Adocia.
No, it's not.
It is okay. There's some people say Sha, some people
Listen,
say
you are
Sia.
important enough for me to pronounce your name appropriately.
It's okay. It's
All right,
okay.
just so you know. So next person who doesn't say it right, you tell them no.
I've had so many people, mess it up. And then I like to do the education part. It's Adosia. Just say it like it flows out easily.
It really does.
Hmm.
Thanks
You're
for the
welcome.
correction. But anyway, so everybody else, my name is Dr. Glow. You can find me as Black Girl Everything across all platforms, including our website. For anybody else who's interested in joining us for these conversations, we have these panels on the first month of every month except July and August because, like I said, I like to travel, so I'm out of the country most of that time. But please go visit our website. You can actually become a speaker on this panel. But anybody else, I got one more infomercial I'm gonna let you all know about. So one of my other businesses is my baby is a Daisy Dream Project. We are hosting our first fundraiser. We have a Century Gym here in Mount Vernon. We are focused on our children with autism. We're in Autism Awareness Month, and we are hosting a casino night. Yes, we are hosting a casino
Ooh.
night. It is April the 30th. Hopefully, those of you who are watching this video is before April the 30th, so you can come out to the event. If you cannot, please donate via our website. It's daisydreamproject.org. We are raising, here, you guys, you're going to be happy about this one, 1111. You ready? Our goal, my ultimate real life goal is to raise $1,111,000, $111. Okay. All ones.
That's the
And it's
11.
going to happen.
Listen, I tell people Some people, you can't, if you don't have a couple dollars, you can donate $11
Exactly.
or
Look,
$111.
I'm gonna have to go in and donate 1111 because that's my birthday, and you brought it up,
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
it's
I appreciate you. Go right to my
so
website,
happy that
www.daysdreamproject.org. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you to subscribe on YouTube. Just press the button. It actually does nothing to you. All right. All right, everybody have a good night. Peace. And you guys hold on right here.
No problem.